Powered by Riverside.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of You Know What I Like? Theater. We don't have that much left to go. Like,
I
this is our
know, we're
last weekend
winding
we're
down.
seeing shows.
All right. Well, we're trucking along and we're nearing the end of the project.
Well, this morning I uploaded episodes 9, 10, and 11. We're
All right.
recording 12, 13 onward. We have a show to see tonight, a show to see tomorrow, and then it's all done. All done.
Aw.
I mean, we'll still go see stuff, but not in such a challenging format. It is a challenge.
Yes.
I like to say we accomplished it. We've told several people about it now that we're at the tail end, and they go, "Wow!" So I
Yes.
suppose it's impressive. But I tell people, it's like we don't have any kids. We have 2 cats. We like to go see shows. That's what we do.
Yeah, I think that what happens is you tell people about it, and then you hit them with how many shows we have seen so far. And I don't think they've ever sat down and considered how much theater there actually is in the area before. That in a
Yeah,
single
although we
month
did
you
see
could see.
somebody at last night's show who was like, "Oh, I also volunteer at that show." And we said, "Yeah, we went there." And she's like, "Why didn't I see you?" And we're like, "Well, we didn't buy food there."
Yes.
So we do try to buy food if and when it's appropriate. We don't always. Like sometimes we
Mhm.
are more focused on getting to the show, leaving the show, all that type of stuff. So I like to just say we try to give a reasonable estimate for concessions or additional amenities or stuff like that. But sometimes when we just had lunch, like we're not gonna go buy popcorn.
Right.
I will also say, for some eagle-eyed viewers, not that we have a whole ton of you just yet, we are
Hmm.
excited for every single one of you that have been joining us since the start of this journey, all the way after 4th of July. But I have not uploaded episode 8 because that was a show I saw by myself. And so we had talked about it and trying to move forward and trying to get caught up. And we just decided that's going to be like a piece of bonus content for everybody at the end there. Well, we'll talk about the show that I went to go see by myself. Unfortunately, it has opened and closed kind of within the time frame of our
Yeah.
challenge. So, like, you guys wouldn't get to see it anyway, but I do want you guys to know about it. So,
Yeah.
if you see, we have jumped from episode 7 to episode 9. Lucky episode 8. That is
Hey.
coming at the end of this journey. So maybe not next weekend, but a couple weekends in the future. So that's kind of been the nice thing too about trying to record all of our shows and then uploading to each Saturday is that we do have probably till the end of August to keep producing content, and then we'll take a little break. We have a show that we are in. We're finally able to talk about it legally now. So
Yes.
we're in Caucasian Chalk Circle by Bertolt Brecht at Live Arts, directed by Sarah Holdren. We're really excited about it. We're coming to
Yeah.
the tail end of our rehearsal period, and it will open the weekend of Labor Day, which feels very appropriate for Brecht.
Yes, absolutely. And I will say real quick before we get started, because you did mention, oh, well, the show opened and closed in the time period in between and everything. I know that we do talk about, oh, we recommend you go see it, get it if you get a chance to see it. But there are shows we've talked about where we saw it on the closing night. Um, so I've always thought of this less as, oh, it's a review show, and more just as let's talk about theater. Let's talk about what you see in the area.
Well, what I think is so funny is it always surprises me when I get something from the theater that said we saw it on opening night, because that was not my goal. Like, I
Hmm.
was just trying to schedule things in as best as they fit on Thursdays through Sundays. So it's really funny to me when it's like, thanks for a great opening night. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know. Like, I was not aware of that. Like, we are not trying to schedule on any particular date or weekend. It's just really where it fits into our schedule. So yeah, I 100% agree with that. But it was really funny. Like, we saw a show last night where I got that type of email where they
Yeah.
said, thanks for a wonderful opening night. I'm like, had no idea.
Yes, you're like, thanks for a wonderful opening night. That was opening night. You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah, it was great. I was like, no complaints. I mean, like, we have very few complaints when we talk about theater because we do love theater. You know, we talked about
Yes.
that a lot. You know what? I like theater. Like, if it was, you know what I would like to complain about incessantly, theater, that would be a much longer and less catchy title. But,
Mhm.
um, yeah, so let's talk about something we liked
All
out
right.
in Glen Allen, which was a
Yeah.
lovely surprise. There are a few places that we go that were like, wow, what a hidden gem. And I think Staunton has been one of those for us, and Glen Allen was one of those for us as well. So
Yeah.
I will give a little blurb unless you want to add something before I get started.
No, anything that I would add right now probably would wind up being on your list of pros and cons, and I would be jumping the gun, and I know that that would be very naughty of me. So let's go ahead and get into the blurb, and then we can talk pros and cons.
I know, and like, can I just say the Film Optimist has made me a lovely soundboard. Now you forgot to upload it. So
Oh, that is all right.
so next between this recording and our next recording, I'll have to upload our custom soundboard that you created for us. So anyway, we saw basically, I'm going to describe it two ways because when I was searching for it in an SEO type of format on Google, Bing, you know, whatever you're using, if you type in something called Henrico Theater, it takes you to a really old movie theater in the
Hmm,
area. And that is like not where you go. That's not this. So I
okay.
do want to say, like, it is a bit of a longer explanation, but if you research the Cultural Arts Center at Glen Allen and Henrico Theatre Company,
Mhm.
that is going to get you to what we saw. If you just research Henrico Theater, that is a movie theater, which is wonderful and amazing, and I'm sure really, really great. But that was like one of the things that like terrified me for going to go see this. Is I was like, if I take us to the movie theater, we don't have a lot of wiggle room. Like we will not be able to
Yeah.
make from one place to the other. So I will just say, I know it's a mouthful. It's totally worth it. The Cultural Arts Center at Glen Allen. That is the
All
best
right.
way to find this place. That is where the theater is located. It is one of these things that it's like, I can't figure out a way to shorten it. Like, Four County Players is 4CP, American Shakespeare Center is ASC. Like, there are a lot of things that can go really brief. This one, you gotta type in the whole thing if you want to like try to find the show. I'm
Mhm.
sure that there are other people that are a bit more savvy, and if you're one of those people, tell me in the comments of what I'm doing wrong. But every single time I tried to type up like Henrico Theater, it was like a movie theater, and I'm like, no, that's not what I want. I'm gonna go see live theater. So that's where we went. We went there July 31st. It was an evening show.
All right.
Um, I forgot when we left, but we actually made it like on time. Like it was so funny because like we normally are being ushered into Richmond shows like, oh, we'll hold the curtain for you. This one was
Mhm.
like, well, you might be the only two people here. You're really early.
Well, and I will say, I think part of that is that the area, for starters, the theater itself has very ample parking. Not a lot of theaters in the Richmond area can say that. A lot of them are saying, oh, you're going to have to park across the street at the Lowe's. You're going to have to park,
At a
somewhere
bank.
down the street in a
Yeah,
public
find
parking
public
lot.
parking.
Yeah, so this was a space that was out kind of a little bit removed from everything else, not nearly as central city
It's
as
in a
we're
bunch of
used to.
neighborhoods.
Yeah, and also, like I said, has its own very large parking lot. So there was a lot less of panic about how are we going to find a place to park.
And like it was also like its own thing. Like we walked in and I think we were expecting like, oh, it's a little high school theater or something. And it was like, here's this art gallery. I mean, it was like humongous. It had
Hmm.
staff, it had a gift shop. So we were like really impressed. Like I took a whole bunch of pictures because I was just like, wow, 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 wow. And, we'll get into this a little bit, but I was like, it's kind of like a public private partnership to my understanding. Like this is part of the park system, but there's like this permanent home for a theater space. So I don't know if it's specifically for this theater group, but there is a theater there and they place things fairly regularly with this company. Like I think they do like 6, 7 shows a year, both straight plays and musicals. But it is like one of these things where it's like it was built as part of the park system, and then everybody in Glen Allen, Henrico, and Richmond can kind of participate in camps, classes, showing off their art. Like it's just really cool. Like you don't see a lot of places like that.
Yeah, it was a very cool space. It reminded me in many ways of when I was growing up, going into a college arts building and seeing visual art displays, seeing like a little library there and everything.
Yeah.
But again, not connected directly to a school. It's not on a campus for a school or anything. It just is an art center.
Yeah, I think you described it really well. I also got the vibes of a community college or an arts campus on a college, maybe even like a really nice high school, but it was kind of for the community. It was not particular ages. Like there was a bunch of very different types of people coming to see the show with us. Like obviously friends, family, neighbors. Like I think one of the actors said that they were a fourth grade teacher in the area. Like it was really cool. So before we get too much further into this, I'm going to say what the show was.
All right.
Okay, so I think this is one of the best deals we've gotten as far as ticket prices and performances.
Okay.
$26 for 2 adults. Parking was free.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is very good.
$26 for 2 adults. Like, I mean, I feel like if you really wanted to, you could then go see a movie or go to a dinner. Like, I mean, it was
Yeah.
very, very affordable. And that could be because of the public-private partnership of it all. Like, I don't know how much they're renting the space for or what the agreement is, but $26 is really hard to beat. I mean, I don't think we could buy lunch for both of that, us for that price.
Yeah, short of the shows that we have seen that were like, hey, free admission. That's about as good as it gets.
Yeah, and there's a few tickets out there like that. Like I find that the shows where they're in the 20, 30, $40 ranges,
Mhm.
I'm already in a good mood when I'm going to go see them. Like not that I hold anything higher than that like against them, but you just already feel like, well, if I didn't like it, you know,
Yeah.
I've lost money stupider ways. Like I play the lottery. So it's one of these things where it's like I can't really beat that you have a whole community of people willing to entertain me for under $40. Like that, I think
Yeah.
is pretty impressive. And, you know, I've been kind of keeping track of our expenditures and our budgets because I want to do a special little bonus show at the end. As I've kind of talked about, I want to do superlatives for each group. I also want to do like, hey, if you're a local theater and you want to know how much you should charge your tickets, I have collected all that data and I know per person per ticket price of what we paid on average, and I think that's a good starting place. So that'll
Yeah.
be our very special wrap up bonus episode we'll do at the end.
Very cool. All
Yeah,
right.
I love a good deal. I'm a data girl. So the show was Leading Ladies by Ken Ludwig, and I have been on the board and review for several different theater companies in my lifetime. That's not a brag. It's just like if you love theater, know theater, have gone to theater school, and you wind up in community theater, in general, they ask if you would like to participate in reading things for season suggestions or trying to figure out if there's a potential for a particular show to go on the docket. And Leading Ladies is one that I have read for a couple different groups, one in Florida and one here in Virginia. And so I had read it a lot and I never seen it perform. Like it was always ranked really highly, I remember, but it was never like chosen for whatever reason. You know, either it could just be we didn't have the actors, the director didn't want to do it. Like there's a whole host of reasons why things aren't picked. But having read it and having recommended it, I really wanted to see it because I was like, wow, I haven't never ever seen this done before, but I've read it a couple times now. And it just sounded really exciting. This was kind of like a show like Sylvia for me, where I've read it a whole bunch. I've maybe seen scenes from it being done, but I've never seen it in full production. So I was stoked that this was able to be seen. You know, they had it on a night that really worked out for us. So really stoked about that. I couldn't find a lot about the inception of the theater company, but when I looked on the Henrico Glen Allen Parks and Rec page, it said this is a community theater group that partners with the town, with the Parks and Rec, to produce shows with local talent for the community. And I think that's cool.
Yeah.
They seem to be on their 47th or 48th season. I tried to kind of like
Ooh.
circle back, looking at news articles and stuff like that. So I was like, I think it might be the 47th. They might be announcing their 48th. It's something along there. They do both straight plays and musicals with community members, for community members. And I said, I don't think I've seen this many like public-private partnerships with local theater. So if anybody has any more information about them, please let me know. This is a really brief blurb, just because like I could only find the Henrico Theatre Company performs XYZ. And, you know, it was only when like the news stations did something special about them that I could see something, but I couldn't find really this big historical background. But for almost being 50 years old, I was like, I'm missing something. I don't know where I'm researching. So I would love to learn more about how did this come about? Has there been anybody around since the beginning? You know, is there anybody from Parks and Rec that kind of talked about like how this exists, and, you know, how do they produce plays or find directors or kind of keep it going? Because it's really unique to me. So I'd
Yeah.
love to learn more.
Yeah, and that is fascinating that it's just this little community group partnered with the city, like you said, that has been around for ages. And you know, I've tried to say this without it sounding like an insult, because it genuinely is a compliment, but it is like, you know, when I walk in and watch the show, I don't think, oh, it's a little Parks and Rec thing that's been around for ages. It feels like, oh, this is kind of fresh and exciting, and lots of fun, and a lot is going into this, and I'm certain a lot is going into it.
Yeah, there's a lot of life in that building. Like I will say, like it
Yeah.
didn't feel old and ran down. It felt very loved and taken care of. There was a lot of new and interesting things there. Of course, they had like a variety of mixed media, visual art, you know, a whole bunch of different stuff. But I think for this podcast's cover art, I'm using the uh, Virginia is a place for lovers. They have love signs everywhere. So I took a picture in front of the love sign for once. And I think I'm going to use that because I thought that that really showed how diverse art experience the building is. It's not just theater, it's a whole bunch of stuff. Also, I will say the very funniest thing that happened, because like we always have like one really interesting story of a unique experience walking up to the theater,
Mhm.
is spoiler alert. They have gunshots in the play, and the stage manager is like boom, 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 testing all the guns. And I thought that was hilarious. Like he was just like,
Yes.
you know, he was like speaking out to the like nobody really except us, saying,
Yes.
"Cast fire!" And we're just like, yeah, of course we would walk up at the time that they're just like, yeah, I'm gonna do some big gunshots in Richmond.
Which,
So
you know,
anyway,
nice to hear before the gunshots start. This is just a test.
right, yeah. So I have a lot of little stories like that. Like we have our ferryman, we have our pirate ladies. Like every single time we go to Richmond, something crazy's happening.
Yes.
It's just like you can't convince me that like Richmond wasn't built on like a big Fey portal or something. Like there is just crazy stuff happening where it's just like nowhere else you could experience this. Like I think we've talked about this a lot, where it's like we can see why our friends love living in Richmond. We love all the artistic and museums and stuff that's happening there. It's just like the vibe, like it's just like slightly to the like shifted for us. We're just kind of
Yeah.
like we need a little bit more like calm and better roads. I mean, like there's no good roads in Central Virginia, but like still, it's one of these things where it's just like I think the heart is willing to go live in Richmond, but I feel like both of us are just kind of like, I don't know, but it's a lot. Like it's just like
Yeah.
the girl that got away. It's a manic pixie dream city for us.
I like that. Manic Pixie Dream City. That's
Yeah, like we love Richmond. We recommend it to anybody, but it's like it's honestly going to be one of those things where it's like, hey, if we need to like find a place when we're old that has better public transit, so we just take the bus, maybe. But really, at
yeah.
this point, we're just kind of like, yeah, we're kind of stuck where we're stuck. And you know,
Yeah.
if there's opportunities to go other places and do other things, we will pack up and we will go to those cities. But it's just like I can't move to Richmond, but my heart wants to most days. Are
I mean,
you
it's
ready to get
been a
into the
very fun
pros?
city. Yeah,
What?
let's get into the pros.
Okay. I was like, I hate to cut you off, but you know, I'm like
That's
the
all right.
driving force here. We're gonna get going.
Yeah, we got to get through the show. People expect us to stick to our format.
I
Our
know.
our
Well,
well-established, tried and true format.
where we never diverge or get distracted or go on tangents or anything.
No.
So as I said, the location was easy to get to. The space was impressive. They had like two really large signs. It was really funny because the directions took us past the largest entrance and took us through the smallest entrance, but they both had very big illuminated signs. So we knew we were in the right place. It was really easy to
Yeah.
get to. We kind of talked about some of our favorite things about that. Lots of parking, really easy to get in and out. I think it was like pretty easy to get on and off the roads as well. Like, there's sometimes like we get into Richmond and you get a little tangled, but we're just like bloop in, bloop out. Went past a
Yeah.
couple of neighborhoods, not too bad. Um, I like their printed materials. They sent me tickets in the mail. I've only
Nice.
had two shows do that. One was for End Station and one was for this.
Mm.
I like having physical copies. As a little kid, I kept a scrapbook. So I give little baby bonus points, like not like enough to like set something over the edge. But like, we went to a play last night where it's like they had so many programs. Do you want to, like, they kept trying to give us more programs. And to me, I was like, yeah, I like it when we both get programs. I understand why people wouldn't want to do that. I understand it's cost saving measures. I totally get it. I don't fault anybody for saying, hey, you guys can share a program. You're both going home to the same place. But still, I was like, it is that essence of hospitality and generosity that I just really enjoy when I get paper materials that I can put in my scrapbook and I could have a little memory. So, yeah, I was like, I enjoyed having paper tickets.
Yeah. Paper tickets are, you know, they a lot of people would look at them and say, "Oh, that's a relic of a bygone era." But it's relics of bygone eras. I mean, I'm sitting here with audio cassettes around me. It's relics of bygone eras can be fun.
So yeah, and they sent it to me ahead of time. I didn't have to pick it up at will call or anything, so it was lovely.
Mm.
I thought our seats were great, and even though the technical elements were much simpler for this production, they were executed very well. I think
Hmm.
this weekend we talked about the shows that bookended our weekend were both single set pieces where
Hmm.
it's a house. It was built very elaborately, but there is no set changes really. Like I know
Yeah.
this one there was some like, oh, we're at the Elks Lodge. Oh, we're at the, train. But that all kind of took place in front of a curtain. But for the
Hmm.
primary set, it was this is a house. And
Yeah.
I think that that's a really smart technique in community theaters because then you spend the whole production period building a house the way you want it. You can do maybe some technical elements where a banister falls down or a window pops out or whatever. But if you don't really have to build multiple sets or worry about multiple locations being as focused as the one, you really have that advantage to put all of your technical elements into your set piece and
Yeah.
then everything else works around that. And I just thought that was so clever. And it was so funny when you pointed that out when we drove home on Sunday, where it's like our favorite shows were the ones with no set changes.
Yeah, it was, driving home and being like, wow, both of our favorite shows were proscenium arch, traditional box set, like home parlor set shows.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, like we do really like the weirder theater pieces. Like we
Hmm.
want the big drama, but it's like some of our favorite things were when people were making these like decisions based on the resources that they have. I work in research and we talk a lot about like what is it feasible to get this project done before we take on new work, what do we look at? And I think
Hmm.
theater is really similar. It's like as much as we all want to do these big dramatic pieces with multiple set pieces and high, quality and concept art and costumes and everything. Like, we have to sit there and look at budget. We have to sit there and look at volunteer manpower. And so I just felt like when you are looking at these things, you don't have to short shrift the production by being more thoughtful about, okay, this is our budget. This is going to be a piece. So maybe we can do a big show, but then we're going to do a single set piece show. And I thought that it was just so smart. Like, honestly, like, it didn't make me think any less of them. Like I said, it was a simpler technical requirement. But
Hmm.
at the same time, like, I didn't sit there and was like, oh, I'm getting a worse show. I thought it was very enjoyable. And I think that it allowed them because there was this madcap of there was a lady on roller skates working at a diner. There was the actors changing costumes. So, I mean, like, they were able to focus on other pieces because they could just say, we're in a lovely, like, was it York, Pennsylvania, Eastern Pennsylvania house. And
Yeah.
so by being able to use the space effectively, they could focus on other elements to be a little bit more elevated, like, the big dramatic dresses and, just, I don't know. I was like, I don't know if I'm saying what I want to say effectively, but I am saying I liked what they did. I thought it was smart, and I think it served the show very well, and I think the actors used everything really well.
Yeah, and I do think that you're making a very good point there, which is that sometimes when you have a decision that comes out of limited resources, or you have a decision that just allows you to play better with what you have, you're able to pull off some actually pretty amazing stuff. Like maybe you can't have a big rotating set that has the 4 to 5 different locations on it and everything like that. But when you have a show that takes place largely in the parlor room of, like you said, a York, Pennsylvania home, then you can just put all of your effort into making the parlor room of a York, Pennsylvania home.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean they put in like panels of stained glass, the home layout was really well thought out.
Hmm.
They had these like swinging French doors. So I mean like you didn't feel like you missed anything. And you didn't feel like the quality was really lacking on the construction you got. And then
Yeah.
everything else where it's like they brought in these wheeled banquette type of seats for the train. I mean like everything was just very conscientious and I appreciated that.
Yeah.
All right. I'm getting into the acting a little bit. I
Okay.
don't normally like to comment on the actors or the acting, but I think that this warrants it. So I
Hmm.
said the actors were very well cast and very funny, and I was impressed with their British accents because a couple of them had British accents, and I did not think that they maybe had a vocal coach, but I thought that they were really phenomenal. I thought they did a
Yeah.
great job. And then I also said they did a very good job at not playing into stereotypes. And like if you don't know leading ladies, it's kind of like you should know leading ladies, but I will say spoilers in case anybody is like concerned. So just, skip over about a minute and a half or 2 minutes while I talk about this. But the joke is that men dress up like women. And
Hmm.
this has been a really huge conversation piece ever since we've gotten into the musical Some Like It Hot coming to Broadway, the musical Tootsie coming to Broadway. And I think that we have to be like really conscientious and delicate when dealing with this is kind of a madcap of some, bad idea, crazy hijinks. It's like nobody's doing it from a place of maliciousness or malice, but it's just, I think I can get what I want, so I'm going to do something a little crazy or a little stupid. And I think that they did a really good job at not making it like the butt of a joke or saying, this
Yeah.
is everybody who does this, or trying to make a commentary about somebody's personal experiences. It was literally, these are actors who are trying to get what they want by acting. And they did it in a very way that didn't feel we're making fun of women, we're making fun of, male to female transitioning people, we're making fun of people who like to dress in women's clothes. It was very much like these are just these guys trying to bring a reality to who they are as women, and they were doing it in a very nuanced way, which is very challenging because it was such a comedy, because it was so madcap. It would be very easy to be like, "Ooh, I'm a fancy lady. Ooh, look at me be fancy." And I don't think they ever did that. I don't know if
Oh.
their acting process started them there, but I honestly felt the two gentlemen who dressed up as women really were trying to be these people and trying to say like, if I were a woman, this is how I would be and how I would represent myself. And I would like to be elegant and I would like to be classy and I'd like to have a career. And they really tried to bring it in a way where the comedy came out more from, I can't tell her I'm not this person. I
Yeah.
can't now let my true person be known because now I'm going to be in deeper trouble because I built such a fantastic relationship as who I'm pretending to be. And it
Yeah.
felt a lot more like Shakespeare, which is the whole thing about. And so I said they really played a great homage
Hmm.
to women playing men, men playing women, all that type of Shakespeare thing, more than coming off of like, isn't it silly to see a man in a dress? Like, that was never once a thought that was the funny part of this. The funny part of this was the relationships between all the people, not a costume element, not a parody of a person. It was literally like, these guys are idiots and now they're really in trouble.
Yeah, and it's, I will say that I am a person who went into this not being familiar with the leading ladies. I had never read the script before. I had never seen the show before. And just to give people like a sense of what the vibe of this is, and partly because I felt I was very clever for coming up with this. I said, "Oh, it came out, and it was kind of like Some Like It Hot and Holiday Inn fell through a copy of the complete works of William Shakespeare."
Yes.
So, it's a very fun show. It's a very lighthearted show. And I would second what you just said, that it's a show that doesn't play off of let's make fun of people's identities. Let's make fun of, can you believe that there are people who do this or something like that? It is, all of the humor is allowed to just come out of the bare bones of the situation, of these silly characters are doing this thing that is kind of a bad idea, but they're hoping that there's going to be a payday for them.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that coming in, you always get a little scared to see people's level of empathy, compassion, acting talent. And I was just like so blown away that these are people with full time jobs who teach fourth graders, who like have these experiences, but still took the time to have a really nuanced accent, have a really nuanced character, and treat people like people. Because I think it really could have easily gone the other way. Like, we're just a community theater. Who cares? Like, let's just be
Hmm.
silly. Like, we need to get all the laughs from stuff. And I'll be honest, like, the people who got the bigger laughs weren't the people who were doing this madcap adventure. It was people being like, I'm in the moose lava. Ooh. It's like they were
Yes.
doing more kind of like bits of who you would find in maybe this community, like the pastor, the wealthy heiress, all these other people were so much funnier. Like, I think one of the standouts was the lady who played Audrey, who had to like
Hmm.
roller skate for 20 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
that was a funnier situation than necessarily the inherent decision to be like, well, if we just dress as these women, we will inherit this money.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you've already mentioned this, but yeah, the cast did phenomenal work with the characters, uh, depicting, like you said, we had two people who had British accents in this show. Rock solid stage British accents, no deviation, no dropouts, everything fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, we were just like, this was a true hidden gem for us. Like, we
Yes.
were so pleasantly surprised and so happy we went.
Yeah.
I said I also love the house transition music. I mean, there's a lot of like old timey music that I really enjoy. I'm a sucker for those 1920s to 1940s type of movies. Like, I love the Nick and Nora movies. Like, I will request to watch Thin Man every Christmas. So for me, having kind of like all these things that I sang in jazz choir and stuff like that, where I was just like, oh, so excited, really loved it. And I thought that it really worked because they had a smaller technical group and they needed that time to do the transitions and everything. So, I mean, to me, it didn't bother me that they were playing a lot of this music because I think it added to the whole ambiance and atmosphere of the show.
Yeah.
And then my very last thing, I didn't know where else to put it, but I put it at the end of the pros, is they did not have a curtain speech, which were just kind of like,
Hmm.
oh, the show is starting. But I
Yeah.
kind of felt like that was kind of good because it was one of these things, like, it really embodied, like, where community theater will kind of get through it because there was a lot of more older people, not so much little kids, but I think that they were really trying to make accommodations for, we want people to be here and feel comfortable. And so there wasn't this really like here's proper etiquette, let's chastise you, which we've kind of like, I don't think anybody's done that in a curtain speech, but I do feel like it's sometimes very easy that if you don't attend a lot of theater, that you're going to
Hmm.
sit there and feel like, oh my gosh, they're judging me because I don't know how to read the program right, or I'm not sitting correctly, or, I need to have some accommodations or whatever. And so, whereas that was like a bit strange to us because we are used to hearing a curtain speech and like, let me explain, and here's how you should, it's like when you go to a fancy restaurant, here's how you should eat the meal. We were waiting for that, and then the show just started, and we're like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it worked. I wouldn't call it a con, I wouldn't call it a pro, but I had to put it somewhere, so it went at the end.
Yeah, it was just this for us, like you said, it's a little bit of a weird moment of we're just sitting there in the audience and suddenly the music starts playing, the house and stage lights dim down, and then the stage lights come back up, and we're in the show. And it's like, oh, so there's not going to be a spiel about thank you for coming out to support live theater. Please silence your cell phones. By the way, if you would like to make a donation for next year's season, anything like that, just we're starting. Okay, let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, so do you have anything else that I didn't catch?
Let's see. We covered the venue is gorgeous. We covered the show is a lot of fun. The actors were a lot of fun. The no curtain speech. Um, I think we covered everything I can think of that we wanted to talk about. Yeah.
Yes, I try to like when we come home, I write my notes. So Glenn doesn't know what I'm writing. I just try to like direct what I'm thinking and try to keep things as much in place as possible right after we've seen it. So yeah, so these are always a little bit of a surprise for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I sit here and I follow along in your wake.
I love it. So I'll be honest, cons are going to be real short
Hmm.
because I didn't have very many. I mean,
Right?
I'm sure like if I was in the show or if I was more involved or, I knew the group or whatever, maybe I might have more. But I literally put not much for us, to be honest. It was a very impressive production. And it
Hmm.
goes to show what can go right when you pick the best show for your cast and your current resources.
Yeah, and it was, and we didn't mention it, but just to point out, because you did mention in the beginning that we talk about this with a lot of theaters, there were concessions. We did not wind up purchasing any concessions, but I did see that there was a table there that had some snacks and some wine that people could buy. They had some local brewery beers there. So it was a very pleasant environment set up for the show.
Yeah, I think we both agreed we definitely go back. We kind of
Mhm.
wished we lived a little closer to be a bit more involved, but it is one of these things like it was, as they kind of talk about like what is the biggest surprise. This was the biggest surprise for
Yeah,
$26. We had a great night out. We felt it was highly worth it. Everybody was incredibly professional and talented. And it was a funny show. It was a good show. Sometimes you just want a good old fashioned, hey, here's a play. Because
yeah.
like as much as I do like I said, I love the weird stuff. I love the big high technical elements. I love musicals. I love everything about theater, but to just kind of see like here's comedy and you're like,
Yep.
great, that was totally worth not watching TV. I'm glad it came out.
I like that. Yes, it's like yes, it was worth leaving the TV to come out and see the show. That is, I think that in the modern age, that is high praise.
Yes. So that's it. I mean, like, I hate to say that this is one of our briefer episodes, but, there really wasn't much to kind of talk about except, like, hey, if you have an opportunity to go see this group in the Glen Allen, Henrico area, definitely give them a watch. I don't think you'll be sad. I think it'll be worth your time. Pick a show you like. I mean, you'll probably
Yeah.
be your friends and neighbors up there on that stage. Like, we just had a good old time. It was a fantastic way to spend a night, and we really loved driving out, driving back. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and you see, brevity is what happens when there aren't a lot of nitpicks for us to go through. So, which we have said in the past, we critique because we love. In this case, we were like, this show was really solid for what it wanted to be, and we were
Yeah.
so happy that we got to experience it.
Yeah. So we'll see you next time on another episode of You Know What I Like?
Theater.
And yeah, check out this theater and we will talk about what we saw for the rest of this weekend coming up next.
Woo.
Woo. Bye, guys.
Bye.